Hey gang, James Beastie here. These are the footprint insole technology King Foam FluidX, and I'm here to do a real honest review from an average snowboarder's perspective. And to give you a short summary, these feel like they might be the most shock absorbent of all the footprint insoles. And that's saying a lot because they're the pinnacle in terms of shock absorption. This seems to be FluidX 3. That's what it said when I pulled it out of the wrapper. And it's evolved tremendously from the initial FluidX that I've tested extensively. The fluid seemed less thick in here, where this feels almost more like a liquid gel. It has a softer King Foam feel in the heel that's just on another level versus all the other footprints, which is really amazing. It has a deep heel cup. It really conforms well to most arches, and it's an insole I'm going to be using a lot this year, and it's one of the best out there, especially in this price point. I don't think you can do better at any price for shock absorption, but in terms of customization, you would have to spend hundreds more to get an insole that would conform to the bottom of your feet like this. When I test insoles, I don't just throw them in a boot and go for a ride and then talk about them. That's not my style. I love to compare. So what I do is go out with the factory insole like I have here from my Nitro Team boots. I take a run, then I throw in the FluidX, the Game Changer Pro, the King Foam Orthotic Pro. I also compare it against Remind insoles, and then many popular brands like Superfeet and Sole that I just don't feel are good for snowboarders. And as you can see, this is an honest, objective comparison from an average rider's perspective. I'm not here to promote any of these brands. This is for you, the consumer, and they have no say in what I say. I can do that thanks to this wonderful community support, but also thanks to our sponsor, Blower Board Shop. They've been selling to snowboarders longer than most resorts have been allowing snowboarders on the hill. They have fast shipping, excellent customer support, and of course, competitive pricing with a large online presence. So if you want to support honest, objective content like this, click through our links to Blower Board Shop and buy something. It would be greatly appreciated. So when it comes to sizing, I'm a true size 9 and I'm an E width. That means I'm at the beginning of wide. These FluidX come in a 9 to 9.5, so I have to cut it down because it's made for a 9.5 first. Once I do, they fit me really well. I really do miss this extension they put in their insoles. This is an old Game Changer Sport, and they used to do this with a lot of their insoles. It was really great for wider riders out there. But I've found these to be wider than Remind's insoles, and I really appreciate that being an E-width foot. In terms of thickness, they come in high, which is 10 millimeters in the heel, 5 millimeters in the toe. Medium, and here's an example from the Game Changer, which is 7 millimeters in the heel and 5 millimeters in the toe. This is a thin King Foam, which is 5 millimeters in the heel and 3 millimeters in the toe. So if you have a really high instep or a really tight-fitting boot on the inside, that might be the better option. But I found that my medium insteps work really well with the highs, and I never feel like I've taken up too much room in the boot and put pressure on the roof of my foot. But it's good to know there are thinner options. Now, when it comes to arch support, if you really want customized arch support that heat molds to your arch, you want to look at the Game Changer or the Game Changer Pro. The Game Changer Pro has quantum heel tech. That's the difference. It molds just a little bit more to the beginning of your arch and heel than the regular Game Changer that just has this foam that expands, and then when it's heated up, you step on it and then it conforms to your foot and stays there. I really like the Game Changers for that aspect, and they give a little more support in the arch area. It's a little stiffer. These are a lot softer. But this fluid, when you step on this, rises up right here and conforms to your arch really well. It's a huge improvement over this old FluidX, which never quite fit my arch right, and that was the first gen. This is Gen 3, I believe. This fluid feels thicker. It barely feels like fluid, and as you put weight down on this insole, you feel it conform to your arch almost perfectly. And I have a medium arch that isn't high on the sides. I really appreciate them not being super ramped up on the side arch because I don't have a high side arch and these are uncomfortable for me. Just to give you an idea about customization, this is a fully customized insole to my foot. They took a mold of my foot and then made an insole out of it. This is my arch. It's a medium arch that doesn't go very high towards the sides. This king foam, when I step down in, almost perfectly matches my arch, just like this ultra high-end insole. Obviously this feels better, but it's a few $100s more. And then to boot, you also just don't get the shock absorption from this that you do with this. You have a great heel cup that gives you lots of support, and I never felt like I wanted more, especially in same-day comparisons. And then when it comes to shock absorption, this might be the best out of all of Footprint's insoles. The shock absorption here in the heel feels so soft and cushy. It's so great for slow speed shock absorption, but it also works incredibly well at higher speed shock absorption and chatter reduction too. You really can't go wrong with any of the upper tier insoles from Footprint. They all have this infinity foam in the metatarsal and the heel. With the king foams, it's exposed on the bottom and this is a little sticky. It's nice though, it sticks to your boot and stays there, but it's a pain in the ass to take in and out. The Game Changers have moved the infinity foam up to the top right under the graphic in the heel and the metatarsal, and then the bottom is all just smooth material now, so it doesn't stick and get in the way. I like that a little bit better than the older version that had the infinity foam on the bottom. But in terms of shock absorption, they're just on another level. The only competitor out there that's even close is Remind. They make a great insole that is much more shock absorbent than the factory insole. Massively better than Superfeet and Sole. They put a layer between your foot and your midsole. These Superfeet that are supposed to be for snowboarders with this carbon fiber bottom here really is the worst out of all of them. This sole has a dense plastic that definitely creates a layer. Then it gets much better when you get up to Remind. They have some soft foam here, but there's some sort of stiff layer between this top shock absorbent material and this bottom part that just really seems to create a layer as well, but it's significantly less than the others. Same with the Medic. It's a little better than the Remedy, and then the Cush to me is the best. It feels like it passes through shock absorption the best, but it still feels like there's a layer underneath, where these feel like they integrate completely with the midsole without detracting response. And that's what's so cool about these. I do feel that Remind maybe is a touch more responsive, but it's so close it doesn't matter, especially when you're getting so much more shock absorption from Footprint. And this isn't a bowling ball test. This isn't a lab. This is me just taking laps up on the mountain, and that's my take after the comparison. These are the insoles I want in my boot to give me excellent arch support, but also give me top tier shock absorption. So I'm keeping butter on the popcorn. I'm riding longer in the day and longer in my snowboarding career. That's why I think this new FluidX is so much better than the older FluidX. It really feels like they dialed it in now. I'm probably gonna be riding these more than any of the other insoles, but I really like my King Foam Orthotic Pros, the Game Changer Pro, hell, even my King Foam Orthotics that don't have a bigger heel cup, and even the old King Foam Orthotic Elites, which these replaced. They're amazing in terms of shock absorption. So it's very hard to go wrong when it comes to getting one of the higher end Footprint insoles. They're what I recommend